It promises to be the most memorable of Royal Ascots. Diamond Jubilee celebrations continue. Then there's the world's greatest sprinter, Black Caviar. Oh yes, and the world's greatest racehorse.
He's a class apart from these. He's 8 or 9 lengths clear, and this could be a very good horse.
Frankel from somebody, but Frankel's unbeaten record is intact. Frankel now in full cry, acceleration and immortal birds. 2 quality horses are made to look mere mortals as Frankel remains unbeaten and wins the QE2.
Sir Henry, Royal Ascot is just around the corner. Are you a nervous trainer?
No, I'm not nervous, no. Yeah, you get excited about, you know, if you've got horses which you think run well, it's exciting, and it's always a little bit, by the time you get to the eve of Ascot, really, your work's done, really. Yeah? It's sort of the build-up to Ascot, you know, things going right, and which makes you sort of slightly nervous now and again when you're working a good horse and things going wrong.
It's been a very good meeting to you.
Yeah, I love it. I always loved Royal Ascot, and I've been very lucky. I've had some very good horses. I mean, maybe we'd be nearer to the 100 if I hadn't sort of had a lapse of 5 years without sort of probably even having a runner.
And we're right in the middle of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations. You've turned out for this interview in plenty of red, white and blue. Are you a big supporter, as a relatively aristocratic gentleman, are you a big supporter of the royal family and what they bring to the royal meeting?
Yes, I mean, not just the royal meeting. I'm a great supporter of the royal family in general, and I think that our royal family is so important to the country, you know, for people to have respect and marvellous family to look up to, and they do an awful lot of good, and I'm full of admiration, and I want it no other way.
For many regular racegoers and punters, you are, of course, King Henry, though.
Well, you might say that. I haven't heard that one before.
But you know how revered you are to the general public. I mean, the Queen obviously is coming to Ascot, and the Diamond Jubilee celebrations will continue there. But in many ways, most people will want you to upstage the Queen with Frankel in the Queen Anne Stakes. That would be the highlight for many.
I don't think we'll ever upstage the Queen, but I mean, it'd be lovely if Frankel could go on from where he left off and win at Ascot. It'd be terrific, and then, you know, we gave it to the next step here.
Let's talk about the great horse. How has he changed as a character from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4?
Well, he's growing up a lot. I mean, he used to pull a lot, and he pulls so much really that all those horses, they never seem to finish. You know, they take too much out of themselves, and there's a question mark early on whether it ever would be a good horse. You know, mentally he was very sort of, I don't know what the word is, but
Loopy-loo.
A little bit, yeah. It's deceiving in some ways because he's got this enormous long stride, you know, so it's awfully difficult to relax a horse who's got a stride that long, you know. But he is switching off pretty well now, and I'm very happy that, I mean, maybe he'll run twice more over a mile. If he did, it would be Ascot and Goodwood, you know. But I'm pretty certain that he would go on to a mile and a quarter. It would be a mile and 2.5 really. Maybe at York in the JUDOMONTE internationally, which is the Prince's own race, which we won last year. And
we're all trying to think, why is this horse so much better than every other? Is it because he's got a massive heart? Is it because his limbs are stronger? You're talking about his stride. Is that something that's just natural? You can't teach a horse. He was just born like that?
No, he's born like that. I mean, he has got a very long stride. When he accelerates, I mean, he has got tremendous acceleration, and it's not just a short burst, you know. It builds up momentum. So it's always difficult for horses to, you know, if you're tracking, when he starts to quicken, and with the length of his stride, when he's really motoring, it's very difficult. And he won't motor for a furlong, he'll motor for 3 or 4 furlongs, and it's very difficult for other horses. He's very talented, and he's stronger this year. He's beginning to settle really well. And I had my doubts about him getting a mile and a quarter earlier on, but I haven't really now. I think that he could even be more effective when he gets a mile and a quarter.
Do you actually think he could be better as a mile and a quarter horse, or even a mile and a half horse in time, than he is a miler.
Well, when you look at his races, I mean, you know, apart from the Guineas, but I mean, you look at a lot of his races that, you know, we've asked him to quicken up quite a long way out, you know, sort of 2.5 furlongs out, and he builds the momentum up, and you know, when you're getting to the mile, he's just almost ready to start to go, and he takes some pulling up, yeah. So there's every chance that, I mean, another 2 furlongs could be even better for him, because, you know, if he can accelerate. I mean, if you take the Guineas, I mean, you know, the speed he went for 6 furlongs, 6.5 furlongs. If he's relaxed, you know, and he's produced in decent time. So let's say he was produced. I'm not saying I'm going to, but if he's produced 3.5 furlongs out, I mean, he's going to be actually sort of building up for 3.5 furlongs. Yeah?
He's an extraordinary horse, because I can't think, and I imagine there has never been another horse that's won its 2-year-old first race over a mile. He won first time out at Newmarket over 8 furlongs.
Yeah.
And yet 2 years later, so he stayed in training for 2 seasons, and he's still not raced further than a mile. There just cannot be a horse who's ever been a first time out 2-year-old winner over that distance.
I mean, you could have, you know, I mean, you could bring him back to 6, but you're going to ruin him, because all the time it's taken us all to get him to relax and race properly. If you know, reading the papers, he should be running lastly on the July Cup and something. I mean, how am I expected to sort of sharpen him up for 6 furlongs and then train him? Other people want me to train him for a mile and a quarter. I just have to feel my way, and I think now he's growing up. He's coming to the stage where he's telling me that I will get a mile and a quarter before the end of the year. And if he did get a mile and a quarter, and he ran in the JUDOMONTE, it'd be a terrific race to start. Yeah? Of course, it'd suit him, and you know, you never know with the Derby winner maybe going for the Irish Derby. Yeah, I mean, he may come for the JUDOMONTE. He's got plenty of time. He's got a month and a half, 2 months. If I go to Goodwood at the 1st of August, whatever it is, it's 3 weeks later, I could be going for the JUDOMONTE. So I mean, they could both run the JUDOMONTE, which would be marvellous to see, you know, our top 3-year-old and our top older horse, you know, which makes much more sense than bringing him back to take on a sprinter like Black Caviar over the wrong distance, you know, at 6 furlongs, or her coming up to the wrong distance over 7 furlongs a mile.
We'll come on to opponents, but it's interesting what you've just mentioned about the training regime, because I did ask people to tweet me or email me any questions that they'd have to, and a chap called Danny Hazel tweeted me and said, would Sir Henry Cecil have to change Frankel's training regime if he were to drop him back to 7 furlongs? So from what you're saying, I mean, what change would you have to make to how you prepare him now if you were, say, preparing him for a challenge against Black Caviar over 7 furlongs? What would you have to do differently?
Nothing. Probably working over a furlong less. You know, I probably would be working over 6 rather than 7.5.
So is the key then what you were saying, the fact that this horse is a younger horse, we all know was electric, excitable, fruitcake, if you want to use that word, which I know you wouldn't, but I have. And what you're saying is what the problem is, by bringing him back to 6 or 7 or training in that way, you then undo all the work that you've done trying to set
exactly. I mean, we got him to relax now, and hopefully he's going to be producing speed at the right end of the race, rather than sort of jumping off and going like blazes. Yeah?
If he was in the July Cup, though, do you think he would still just go and win?
I wouldn't know. I've never even thought about it. I never even the July Cup's never even entered my mind, and I've never.
But sort of what I'm saying
tried to train him for it, and I wouldn't. I haven't experimented with him or anything.
But what I'm saying is, do you think he's just so good that effectively he could almost win at any distance, say up to a mile and a quarter within reason? 6 furlongs, a mile and a quarter. He's just so much better than everyone else.
Well, I don't know. I mean, horses around. But I mean, you know, obviously 7 furlongs to a mile, he's already sort of done everything right, and he's beaten everything. When he gets to 1.25 miles, hopefully, you know, in August, he's going to be taking on different horses, right? So, you know, you've got what you would say to yourself, are the 1.25 mile horses better than the milers? So he's got to prove himself against them, hasn't he? You know, at the extended distance now, I mean, you know, all right, we can say he's champion miler and he's champion 7 furlong horse, I think. But now, over the sort of the middle distance, over the 1.25 mile, he's got to prove himself over that distance. If I didn't think he would be able to, I'd be getting the easy way out. And as it is, I've got every confidence that he will.
You're 10 from 10, losing that unbeaten record, which is something that shouldn't matter to a racehorse really, but of course once you start getting a whole load of wins, suddenly it does start mattering. How crucial do you think it is for him now that he does remain unbeaten for the rest of his life?
Well, it'd be nice, and I mean, our job here at Warren Place is to make sure we have him absolutely right, and health-wise and everything, and mentally, and my job is to try and make sure he doesn't get beaten.
We talked about the various distances, but what about options abroad? My theory is, Sir Henry, that you don't want to put this horse in a plane, particularly because of how he was as a younger horse, and therefore flying him to Breeders' Cups and things might not be the best thing. Is there anything in that, or am I talking nonsense?
Nonsense, really.
Right.
But you don't normally talk nonsense. But in this, no, it's that
You'd be quite happy for Frankel to be in a plane.
That is, you know, he would be he travels well now, and but when you take the season, I mean, he's trained in Europe. To me, we got some of the best horses in the world in Europe. The Ascot Champions Day is a very big day for our racing. We want to support that, and prestige-wise and value-wise, to win there, to run there, is very good for the horse. The other thing is that the Breeders' Cup is under a fortnight later, yeah? So I have no intention of giving up that amazing day to take him abroad, to run on dirt, which he's never run on, yeah, at that time of the year.
That's if he went in the Classic, I guess, obviously.
Yeah, but if he runs at Ascot, I'm no way, and I'm going to sort of practically straight away chuck him on a plane and take him out to America to prove what, really? I mean, he'd never been on dirt. He's not a dirt horse. Yeah. It's pointless, really, isn't it? And I'm not going to do the and you know, to give up the Ascot meeting for something which is it going into the unknown, completely unknown. You know, is not fair on the horse, and I just wouldn't want to do it.